Welcome to another episode of the Williford Brothers. We are your hosts, Luke and
Lee Williford.
We're excited to be with you today. We're going to be ironing out why don't we franchise, or why haven't we franchised? Our business model. Have you ever thought about it, Lee?
I have, yeah. I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. In fact, we have a full story to tell you today about our franchising journey.
Absolutely. So
where do we start?
Yeah, where do we start? What year was that when we looked into it? 2020?
2019.
2019. Yep.
In fact, we tossed around the idea in
2016.
I had a pretty good conversation with some industry titans and told them, yeah, I could see it on the horizon as once technology was able to allow for auditing and more streamless collection of franchise fees, things like that, it sounded like a pretty good idea. And so we decided to franchise.
Yep. In 2018, late 2018, we had created our payment system, Freedom by IPS, our company's interactive payment systems. And we said, how can we monetize this great payment system that we've created and sell it nationally? So we said, let's franchise, hold the payment system to franchisees only exclusively. We've got something proprietary that would really help. But long story short, we didn't realize duplicating ourselves across the country would be difficult to do. And it would be legally binding and just a whole lot of different things. So we actually hired a franchise consultant, spent quite a few dollars going out and learning anything we want to do. We want to learn and make sure we're doing it just like you guys are doing. If you're watching this, you want to learn about the laundry industry or life or leadership before you get into it. So we wanted to learn as much. So
from someone who had done it.
Yeah, we were reading books on franchising, praying a lot, and long story short, they ultimately decided against it, obviously, but let's talk more about that journey. So we wanted to do it. We got the legal entity name. You want to share that?
Yeah, Rocket Laundromats.
We were going to be Rocket Laundromats.
That's right.
Somebody would probably take that and play with it. And soon after, I saw a few Rocket Laundromats come. We had the logo and everything. We were going to go national with our brand. You can't brand the Wash House Laundromats because it's not a trademarkable name. So we're going to do Rocket Laundromats, and we were going to base the model off our dozens and dozens of locations here in North Carolina and spread slowly across the country. We went out and did everything we needed to do, got our, what's it called?
FDD.
Financial disclosure document. We both were heavily involved in writing our handbook for the franchise. And then we started to pursue it. So right when we became legal, we had several people wanting to sign up and write us pretty good checks to start this thing.
Yeah, it's amazing how much capital there is out there just waiting to invest in something.
Absolutely. Yep. So we were working with several different personalities, and I think one of the big things for me, the guy we were using had built a successful franchise business, so he knew all the ins and outs. And he said, you're going to have to talk to, 50 or so people on the phone for an hour before you have one, who wants to commit to you. And that was a tough obligation for us because the lifestyle of owning laundromats is one of the benefits. We work extremely hard, but it also provides a nice lifestyle. We're not having to clock in every day with anyone, although we come into the office a lot, work from everywhere we're at. But this franchise thing, we really wanted to do it, and our eyes were open to do something nationally, I think.
Because our payment system allowed us the opportunity to do that.
Our heart's desire was to get our payment system out there to the best operators in the country. And how do we do that? We make sure that they are franchisees. That way we can teach them each integral part of the business.
Model.
That way we know they're doing it right and that they're set up for success.
Yes. And people do that throughout different industries. Yeah, you hear these incredible stories of mom and pops who kind of fit a niche market and they create a brand, and before you know it, they've got 500 locations throughout their region or the country, and they're serving a lot of people.
Which is awesome.
Yes, it is. And there are franchises within our industry. And so there are people out there who are presenting the opportunity to those people who are willing and able to franchise within this industry. It's been done before. It's been failed before. I think it's going to be really interesting to see where the incorporation of technology lends itself to making some sort of franchises viable. But why didn't we?
So we had 2 or 3 people ready to sign, a few big personalities, and one actor. I mean, he was pretty big time. Anyway, ready to sign on the dotted line and write us a pretty substantial check to get Rocket Laundromats off the ground. And through much prayer, Lee and I both couldn't come
to. It was
to
a tough couple weeks or so. Yeah,
we couldn't come to peace with it. We prayed a lot about it, both together and separately. And well, I mean, just what does your gut say? What does your gut say? Yeah. And at the end of the day, we believe the Lord spoke to both of us and said, the best return on our invested time and energy and capital would be to continue to grow our company corporately and not offer the franchise, which was tough because we had already pursued this. We had some invested time, kind of like the Range Rover story, but you learn when you make mistakes. So we learned through the process. We lost quite a bit of capital, but we learned through that
in the
process.
moment. Yeah, we lost some capital in the moment, but
probably saved it on the long run.
Capital, our marriages, our relationship between the two of us.
So we looked at the whole picture, prayed about the whole picture, and decided against franchising.
Yes. It does. It definitely commits you as the franchisor to, as you said, different personalities, different people who are now legally with whom you have a legal obligation, and so that's an interesting relationship to have a contractual obligation where you have to deliver specific things which are outlined in an FDD, but also as the franchisor and as high of a level of expectations that we have. We knew that what we wanted to set was a high bar, and that there were going to be people out there who did not meet that bar. And so I think both of us had a little bit of reservation bringing those people into what we have built and them not meeting that expectation. And then what does that look like? It's a legal fight. And I don't want to have a part of a legal fight.
Absolutely.
We decided we did not want to go down that road.
Yeah, we like to look 5 years ahead. And I think we both look 5 years down the road, which we are now. Yes. And I think we thank ourselves, and we do, that we decided against that decision. And the Lord spoke so clearly to both of us about franchising and going that route. We decided against it, and we've grown. We've added, I don't know, dozen locations corporately since then. Yeah. And like Lee said, I mean, I'm a people pleaser, and we set a pretty high standard. So our expectations would have been high, and we would have made sure we wanted to be there from lease negotiations to build out to profitability and all of those things for our franchisees. And I think one of the big things that we were able to do, it wasn't our plan A. I think some of the franchises out there, that's their plan A. They don't have a successful laundromat operation, so they're franchising to grow, which is fine as long as you support your franchisees and you have a business model that works. Yes. But we had built a corporate business model that worked yes. and had scaled it already, and wanted to continue to scale it. And we kind of at the end of the day said, instead of showing and holding the hand of others as they walk through it, to continue to build our own entity and look each other in the eye when we make decisions. Look each other in the eye and not in the Lord, and not have to talk to a bunch of different people or worry about legal constraints. And I mean, we don't even take liability of people's clothing. We only do self-service. Yes. in our facilities. So we were going to be really taking on liability, getting into these legal things with, and like Lee says, a lot of times I'm not married to anyone except my wife, and so I don't want to be legally obligated to anyone except my wife.
Not at that level, for sure.
Not at that level. Yeah.
One interesting thing I observed throughout the process, and even now, is a lot of franchisors are serial franchisors, and so they have come into our industry saying, the laundromat industry, both self-service and full service, is just ripe for franchising. And so you have someone who has a franchising background and mindset coming in to try to implement that into the laundry industry. And we came at it in the exact opposite perspective of, we have built a business model that our family has been building and we are part of for decades, and we wanted to franchise it and discovered that, it's tough to do. Yep, especially
Absolutely.
if you want to continue to grow and not have that connection of 7% with every franchisor, because within our industry, you can certainly have a higher return on your invested capital than a 7% return if that's what you're going to have connected with your franchisee as a royalty fee.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, it was a learning experience, and we're continuing to learn, but we're thankful for that experience. And
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the laundromat business is different than a McDonald's or a hot dog stand. I was thinking years ago in 2018 when we were looking into doing this, I said, man, if you can franchise, selling, ice cream cones or duck donuts, one of the local North Carolina franchises that came about, we could definitely do laundromats. We know it really well. But there's a lot more to laundromats. I think the build-out's important, the infrastructure that we utilize.
Based on knowledge that you, especially as you lead those projects, have gained from the practical side. Yeah,
and we take for granted a lot of the work me and my team do on installations and connections, and the contracting I do on with the electricians and the communication. I've got a team of subcontractors we work with, and finding that and building those relationships for other people in other areas I saw was going to be a challenge, and I think is one of the challenges that franchisors will have.
Yeah. It's a trade-off there's definitely a trade-off there in that model, because you sacrifice a lot of quality to try to just get as many things out there as possible. Yeah,
and I think it's a way to it's almost a way to grow without using your own capital is kind of what franchising is, or franchisors do. Mm-hmm. They use the franchisee's capital to grow, and also the franchisees efforts, work, their
risk tolerance,
physical being at the location for a 7% return on those, and both are invested in success of the business. It's been proven, franchising has been proven to work, but it wasn't for us. Mm-hmm. And
what advice, Luke, do you have to somebody who's listening to this and thinking about franchising
in this industry?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say, court them. Look at everything. Look at the details. Listen to this podcast. You can do a lot of, I'm trying to say the right things here. Mm-hmm. You can do a lot of different things. You can learn to do it a lot of different ways, but I think I would look for someone who's proven themselves with number of locations, and I would talk to other franchisees and not talk to the franchisor quite as much. Of course, the franchisors got incentive, whereas the franchisee may not. And I've talked to some franchisees across the country with different franchises that are extremely happy and profitable, and then I've talked to others who aren't. So talk to the franchisees and see what the experience is like from the customer standpoint. We always like to view things from the customer standpoint. And in the franchise model, the franchisee is the franchisor's customer.
That's right.
Although the end customer is the laundry customer, who's the only one spending money, and money goes from the laundry customer uphill to the store owner, to the distributor, to the manufacturer, which is another episode. We'll talk about
the flow of money.
The flow of money in our industry only goes one way, but we'll cover that in another episode. But that's a little bit about our franchising journey. Rocket Laundromats was a fun venture that we did. It didn't take off, but we didn't lose a ton, and we gained a lot of knowledge and wisdom, and I think it helped us clarify our vision for the future, and is a lot of the reason why we're sitting here today with a dozen more locations, because if we would have taken our time and effort over the last few years and put it into franchising, I think that we would possibly regret that decision. Although we may have a dozen or more locations across the country, I think the ROI is
We
better.
wouldn't be doing this.
And we wouldn't be here with you.
We'd be tied up with holding franchisees' hands, I think.
I'd probably be going, hello, it's Luke.
Yes. Thank you for calling Rocket Laundromats.
Yeah, I did that quite a few times. And man, talked to some people here, and we had quite a few interested and several ready to sign. I mean, big checks.
Yeah.
But
I think if you're listening and you're thinking about buying into a laundromat franchise, think about three things. Whether you want to buy a franchise and vet different different industries that franchise. Think about franchising within our industry. Like Luke said, vet those opportunities, talk to franchisees and get their perspective. Because they are an existing customer of that franchisor, and think about buying one single laundromat and the capital needed to buy that store and pouring into that one store.
Absolutely.
And it being a large part of your portfolio rather than doing some sort of franchise. Definitely not anti-franchising. It's an excellent opportunity to get into an industry pretty easily, but just make sure that there is value added that franchisor is bringing to you, that they are bringing you value, and that you are not somehow bringing them legitimacy so that they can add you to their number of franchisees so that they can continue to sell franchises. Yeah,
the franchisor has to be dead focused on the success of the franchisee, and it has to have proven profitable franchisees. Yep. Next, paint and a logo and some things you can do if you don't choose to go the franchise route are very simple. You can go online, find a designer, someone who you can come up with a design for your logo, Pat's Laundromats or Billy's Laundromat. Please use the name Laundromat in your laundromats. I see all these different names out there, and driving by, your customer's not going to know.
So I shouldn't call my laundromat Coin Laundry?
You should not call it Coin Laundry. That just screams zombie mat.
Yeah, it looks so good on a half-lit sign.
I've been in the stores that are still called Coin Laundry, and it's brand new equipment. But why didn't you change the sign or brand the store?
Build
a brand, whatever you do.
Yes.
And I would challenge somebody to take that 7% and put it towards marketing, and instead of going with a franchise
early on, once you get a successful laundromat, you definitely won't need 7%.
But yeah, I would I would dare to say, and the royalty fee may be $50,000 per store for some of these franchisers. Save that or utilize it, and some of them, the franchisors may have good. Buying through the manufacturers and can save you that. But I don't know those questions, or the answers to some of those questions, because we ended the pursuit. We were going to franchise our business model, which we have pretty nailed down, and even from construction, and just decided to continue to grow corporately. And that's what we're doing. I mean, we got one store under contract and another, I think, right before we hopped on this podcast that we've got. So Lord's really blessed us, but nothing against franchising. If you're a franchisor, just make sure to add value to your franchisees, make sure they're profitable, and always think long term. We're always looking 5, 10, 20 years out, and try to place yourself there and say, what do I need to do now to get to where I want to be? And remember, there is a circle. You're not going to get there.
Short-term goals.
It's like driving on a racetrack. because the journey is where you'll be fulfilled, and it's a lot of fun. And franchising and the pursuit of franchising is part of our journey in late 2018, early 2019.
Yeah. It was worth every dollar, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Every dollar that we put into it. Yeah, we decided against it. Those trade-offs are worth it. And, I think we're a little bit wiser because of it. Thank the Lord.
And then after that, we decided to continue to grow corporately, but we said, what are we going to do with this payment system software, Freedom by IPS, which is fantastic. We decided to actually sell it to a few friends and put it out on the market. And then we actually decided against that because 2020 came and it was very, very tough to procure and manufacture in-house. But now we've decided to keep our payment system, Freedom by IPS, in-house, exclusive for our business model, the Wash House Laundromats. And
it's been a major operational advantage and a huge differentiator for us within our market.
Yeah, we've got a team of engineers that are full-time on staff, and we manufacture right here in-house, procure and manufacture, and we grow IPS by growing the Wash House Laundromats, and that's what we plan to continue to do. And that's kind of where the Lord's given us both peace in those companies we share.
So should I buy a franchise that only uses coin?
No. So we are also, as we want to end zombie mats, we covered in a episode prior, the coin has got to be ended in laundromat ownership. Why would we want to end the coin? You may have listened to a few of our stories about all the theft that takes place, but I would say 95% of the acquisitions that we have where we buy a laundromat, the owner was getting robbed from.
Yeah.
Like every time. It's unbelievable.
It is wild.
And just from a customer experience now, some of the VIN prices, our largest washer VINs for $12.50, our smallest VINs for $3.25. Well, $3.25 is 13 quarters.
Yeah.
Dropping 13 quarters is aggravating.
50 quarters.
And then you think about the $12.50. Is that 50 quarters?
Yes.
Wow. So watch somebody drop 50 quarters and half of them get stuck, and then they've got to, so what payment system should they buy? Well, ours isn't available, but if you call us or reach out, there's a few different ones out there. We'll do another episode about card versus coin and kind of the reason we created our payment system and how it's really blessed our customers, blessed our business model, and our brand. I think it's so important to create a brand. The one good thing about franchising, or not the one good thing, but one of the good things about franchising is they do bring a brand to the table and take some of the design work off of it and help you have a brand, and they have some marketing stuff in place which helps.
Yep. But if that brand is not valuable within your market, then you're just buying the color scheme.
Absolutely.
Because your customers may not already know anything about that brand. And you may buy 3 locations and build them over time. It's going to take time to build that brand locally because laundromat brands, we're not tied. We're not owned by Procter & Gamble. So the brand that you build will have to start local. And then once you buy your second store and you open your third store, before you know it, within your area, you are the well-known and recognized brand for laundry excellence.
And that's where you become nationally known. You don't become nationally known typically in our industry. Your brand is so important locally within a 5-10 mile radius of your laundromat, and that's why growing your brand close to your other store, and like we've done, is really just go a few miles up the street and put in another store. You want to dominate the market, because if I have one store here and then one 45 minutes away, a lot of people, they might not even recognize that brand, or 2 hours or 3 hours away. You've really not really created a brand.
Yes.
The brand of a laundromat is important, not on a national thing or not on the laundromat owner forums. It is important locally that your customers, the laundry customer, know about you, and you've got a brand. It's either good or bad. So make sure that brand is good, and when they think of the Wash House Laundromats or whatever your laundromat brand is, that they think positive, bright lights, clean floors, that friendly staff member, well lit, large capacity washers and dryers.
Yep.
It's
simple.
It's not
yet
rocket
profound.
science. It's simple yet profound. I use
Yeah.
that a lot, but it really is. And the build out and construction of stores is a challenge. I think franchisors having to scale across the country, that will be one of the challenges. And I know it is because franchisors have actually reached out to me and Lee, and we've talked to them a little bit about those challenges that they have and meeting new contractors. That's why we've continued to grow here locally. If I have something come up today, I know the electrician, the plumber, and those things.
Leverage those relationships.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Yeah. This was great. I hope that answers the question. Why don't we franchise?
Yeah. We tried. We decided not to.
Yep. Through much prayer, the Lord gave us peace,
Yes.
and here we are. Nationally, we're hoping to build the Williford Brothers brand and really help serve others.
Share
And,
some knowledge, wisdom, insights with
yeah,
you.
we've
who
got
are
a lot of
listening, no matter what your
experience.
industry is. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. You can keep watching. Stay tuned. Appreciate you guys. Yee.